So we're here today at a very windy Silverstone. There's been an amazing dramatic day's worth of racing today, but I guess first up we have to talk about the rider of the day, Fabio Quartararo. I mean, it was the agony and ecstasy of today. Simon, tell us how his day went today.
I mean, it kind of, what wrapped up Fabio's day for me today was he came to his media debrief afterwards, and I've seen Fabio in situations like this before. I was there, I still remember being at the back of the Yamaha truck doing his media scrum in Jerez in 2019, straight after he just lost his first ever chance at the podium whenever the gear linkage broke on his then Petronas Yamaha. And he came to us afterwards and he'd been so emotional on the bike, he'd cried on the way into the pit box. He came to us and he was calm, everything was under control. And I thought, all right, we're going to get the same again today because it's Fabio and that's what you expect from him. And it was like that for basically the majority of the debrief. And then someone asked him about the hope that today had shown, and he just crumbled. He broke down in tears in the middle of his scrum, unfortunately. And had to kind of pull himself back. And then once he did, he was able to say, you know what, actually, yes, there was a lot of hope out of today's performance. That was a super strong result. It showed everything that we've suspected about the Yamaha improving. He should have won today's race, he knows that, but also he knows that they had the speed to win today's race. So, you know, there's so many positives to take away from the performance from here, even if it wasn't quite the final result or anything close to the final result that they would have hoped for from this. Megan, you were in the debrief with me as well. You kind of saw like a very rare piece of Fabio emotion, I think, from today.
Yeah, we got to the debrief and immediately my heart just felt for him. You know, poor Fabio, after all of the work, after getting that amazing pole position with a new lap record on Saturday morning, you know, for that to all then fall away with that terribly unfortunate moment for him was just so heartbreaking. And he said it himself, you know, it was heartbreaking. And he put on a brave face. He did a really good job of putting on a brave face, but it was just that moment where he was asked about the hope, and he just briefly didn't fall apart, but he just briefly showed that little bit of emotion. And everyone responded really nicely to it. You know, got a round of applause, pats on the back, and after that he did seem a lot more positive. It was like he realised, you know, this is not the beginning of something better, but it's a continuation of the incredible work he's been doing recently. You know, 3 pole positions in a row, really promising signs. You know, some promising signs elsewhere at Yamaha as well this weekend. So yeah, really good stuff from Fabio.
That's what I was just about to come in and say. It wasn't like he was the only Yamaha who was fast today. We saw super strong performances as well from Jack Miller in particular, that really kind of drive home that, yeah, this is a Yamaha that's improving. The work that they've been doing is starting to pay off. And I think that while Quartararo might have lost the chance for a race win today, it is very much not going to be his last chance for a race win this season, and we're going to see Fabio back in P1 before too much longer this year.
That's it. I mean, usually it's the hope that kills you, but on this occasion it shows that amazing sign of hope for Fabio and the whole Yamaha team, all of the effort that they put in. They're looking in good shape. Okay, moving from Yamaha to Ducati. I mean, it was a weird weekend for Ducati. It was the first time they've been looking vulnerable in a really long time. And they were almost at risk of losing their incredible podium streak as well. Megan, just talk us through what happened with Ducati this weekend.
It was a really odd weekend for Ducati. And, you know, yesterday Mark, admitted that he felt he was struggling a little bit. Now, Alex had a really good weekend to that point. He is really strong, particularly in those long right-hand corners that Mark struggles in. And so Alex went into today's race as the favourite. He said it himself. Mark said it. You know, so it looked very much like it was going to be one of those days for Ducati, again, that we're used to. Didn't quite work out that way, you know, with Alex's crash at turn 1, and then Mark then crashing as well before there was then that restart due to the oil on track from Frankie Morbidelli and Aleix Espargaro's crash. They then swapped bikes, swapped tyres, crucially. So though neither of them went on to crash again, it wasn't the sort of day that maybe we've expected from the Marquez brothers recently. Pecco Bagnaia crashed out. He said that was likely to do with his rear tyre. He's had, you know, a lot of issues with the tyres this year. And so it looked to be a continuation of that for him when he went onto that second tyre. And for whatever reason, he doesn't know, he found it difficult. Alex Marquez, same thing, went onto the second tyre, really struggled. And this was something that several of the other Ducati riders said. Mark, being Mark, really managed to make the best out of it. And he'd said yesterday that yesterday's sprint race was looking like a bit of damage control. And today he, again, managed to pull off a third place finish. But it wasn't the Ducati that we've had recently. You know, the mixed conditions, the restart, the tyres, I think kind of all played into that a little bit.
I mean, on the surface, this was the worst Ducati weekend, the worst Marc Marquez weekend of the year by far, and Marc has still managed to extend his championship lead, which is just the Marc Marquez, you know, this is how this guy does it. Even on a bad weekend, he's still pulling ahead, he's still forward. And I think that relative to his teammate in particular, this is going to be a weekend that he comes out of quite positive, actually, because he thought that this would be a weekend to concede points. He thought this would be a weekend where Alex in particular was going to have the beating of him. No one expected that it would be Marco Bezzecchi that was going to be the guy that come out on top at the end. So for Marquez to do this, to pull this off, excellent result in the grand scheme of things, and a fair bit of basically damage control. It's Pecco Bagnaia who has had a really, really tough one. It's Pecco Bagnaia who is again lost. I don't think it's too strong a word to use. He doesn't know what's going on.
And he described himself as being kind of in limbo at the moment as well, which is this kind of extraordinary situation to be at this point in the season. You know, with 7 races in, you thought they would have maybe got out some of those gremlins early on, but you know, he's still not feeling settled, still not trusting the front as well, and it's still going on.
It's funny what you say about that those 7 races in, because at the start of the year, whenever he was struggling, he talked a lot about how it's only 2 or 3 races in, I can afford to struggle right now. We're adopting to a bike that is different. This GP25, as we're starting to learn, and is probably something we're going to pick up on this week, actually, as a bit of a post-Silverstone analysis. There's something different with this bike. And that was okay 2 or 3 races in. And he had said, if we're still like this 7 or 8 races in, then we have a problem. We're there now, and I think we have a problem.
Yeah, on a day where Mark said that the Marquez brothers were the luckiest family, for Pecco to crash out and then to come to his debrief afterwards and say, as Ollie said, he's in limbo. He's trying to work this out with his team, and they just aren't getting it, and it's hard to find the problem. It's hard to know what that problem is. And as Simon says, we're now kind of a good way into the season where Mark has got a really big lead now, and Pecco's reaction when he crashed kind of said it all. That despair, head in hands. And I think he needs to, that he and the team need to find that solution soon for him to have any chance of rescuing his championship.
He almost looked a bit more in despair than Fabio Quartararo at the end, didn't he? Which
It
is
was
saying
close.
something. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Well, I think we can't leave it without speaking about this incredible result for Aprilia this weekend. I mean, we've now had 11 winners from the last 11 races, which is extraordinary here at Silverstone. Aprilia, an amazing day, and we just have to say, God save the Bears. What an incredible day for him. Simon, you spoke to Massimo Rivola at the end of the race. I mean, what are Aprilia's thoughts? What's their reaction to all of this?
I mean, I feel like we're doing a very the race thing by barely talking about the race winner in the post-race video. But the reason for that is that we were going to pick up a little bit more on that through the week, because we both spoke to Massimo Rivola as a kind of a media group at the end of the race and got his thoughts, but then also spoke to him in private, and we'll bring that to you. But essentially, they're delighted that Bezzecchi has finally found the form that we thought was coming, that they have believed was coming, and that they believed was coming when they signed him. They knew it was there. So they're happy that they found that, but they're also, they're not saying it too loudly. They're also very happy that they've sent a very important message to Jorge Martin, who's sitting at home talking openly about going to other teams, and they've sent him a message that says, you know what, there's nothing wrong with the Aprilia. This is a good bike. And basically, we're ready for you to come back and get on this machine and perform. And Rivola wasn't shy about saying that afterwards. He straight up said this is a message to Jorge Martin. But it's not. That's not something that he meant in any sort of a nasty way. It was meant in a, look, the bike's ready for you. Come back and ride it when you're fit, and we're still going to do good things together over the course of the remaining season and a half of his Aprilia contract.